It's your boy Zaf. It's Thursday. We got sound. We got games. We got matches to analyze. Forgive me. We're back. You guys voted on Twitter. I put the tweet up yesterday. And it was split down the middle between Problem X versus Cien and Problem X versus Justin Wong. So I decided I'll just pick one of the matches today, and then I'll do the other match next week. So, gotta polish my nose too, you know what I'm saying? Make sure I look clean as fuck. So, Problem X plays Bison. Unless you're in Japan, like East, then he plays Vega, which is a way cooler name than Bison, might I add. But in Japan, it's Vega, okay? But it's Bison anywhere else. So he plays Bison. Wong plays Menat, okay? So you guys that are tuning in for the first time, I usually will break down a character. Not like too much, of course, because that would take like a whole stream. But just enough so that you know what to look for when you are watching. So it makes it a lot easier to follow along. So let's start with Bison. He has a very oppressive offense because of the fact that his crush counter roundhouse and his crush counter axe are both plus on block. So he can suffocate people with his offense. Okay, so you'll see a lot of people kind of just like buckle and break down whenever Bison puts them in a situation they just don't want to be in. Okay. He has the ability to transition into offense from unorthodox ranges. So typically when somebody is going to start offense, right, they initiate their offense inside of a throw range or whatever, right? But Bison, because of his Psycho Axe, he can lunge forward, and all of a sudden he's now in a pressure situation. So it's not a matter of the range being unorthodox. So I should correct myself. It's not the range that's unorthodox. Rather, it's how he's transitioning into his offense because he does it so easily. There's not much risk behind him doing the Psycho Axe if he's convinced enough that you're on the ground, right? Especially considering the fact you're playing Street Fighter V. So what does that mean? You have priority on heavier attacks over the mediums and the lighter attacks. So even if you were to see that he does Psycho and you Psycho Axe and you try to jab, there's a great chance that you get crush countered, and that sucks. You're gonna hear glass shaking and shattering all around you, and suddenly your room's gonna be cold. Okay, so that sucks. You don't want that to happen, of course. So he's really strong in that regard. So if he can just convince you enough to just slow it down for a couple of seconds, boom, all of a sudden he starts his offense. He has access to a 3-frame normal. Not many characters have that. Not every character has that. So that's really important for interrupting strings. He has access to a low crush forward moving special in scissor kick. So he can glide over low pokes like a crouching light kick, crouching medium kick, and some sweeps. And that's very important for this matchup because Menat stand fierce to the orb that goes down. If he can space himself correctly, he can glide over it, and he'll be airborne, and then he'll basically go over the attack, and he hits her, and he starts his pressure. Okay. In terms of the cons with Bison, Bison doesn't really have many cons. He's actually one of the strongest characters in the game right now, but he does have some deficiencies in his design, where one of them is that he has no first frame invincible attack outside of super. So if you do get in on Bison, you can really devastate the character. You can make it count a lot easier than you would say against like a Cammy or maybe a Ryu, a Sagat, right? Characters that actually have access to 3-frame normals and a DP are way scarier. So I'll take Sagat out of that equation. But a Cammy, a Ryu, those an Akuma, like those characters that have access to a first frame invincible attack outside of super. Granted, they need bar, but that just means that it's more easily accessible. Okay, so it makes you think. You have to be a little bit more aware of the mental gauge in your opponent as you're pressuring them. Otherwise, unlike, you know, so let's say you're pressuring a Nash and he doesn't have super, you're not really worried because he's a 4-frame character. He doesn't have a 3-frame button, and he doesn't have an invincible attack. So you're just like kind of, you go ham. Okay. So lastly, Bison has a very slow walk speed. So because it's a very slow walk speed, he's forced to commit in order to get into the situations he wants to get into or create the ranges he wants to. So what I mean by that is when Bison wants to get into a particular range, he can't really just walk into it, right? Because his walk speed's so slow. It's you gotta remember when you're moving, right? Your opponent might also be moving. So if you're trying to create this range, but your opponent, which is my index, keeps moving in and out, it's hard to create this range when this is happening, right? So, but if you have a fast enough walk speed, then you can transition and you can engage or escape ranges a lot easier and with more effectiveness because you'll be more accurate, okay? Now let's go with Menat. So Menat is a very unique character because her normal attacks that use orb are essentially projectiles. They don't clash with projectiles, but they have the property, the special property where she is not hittable where the orb is. You'd have to hit her where her limbs are as she's extending or retracting after the attack. Okay? So you can struggle in neutral against Menat if your character does not have a long enough, deep enough, fast enough attack to hit her as she's retracting from her poke. So she can be really spammy with her buttons against certain characters, and the risk reward is just greatly in her favor. So because she has that, the projectile-like limbs, she can circumvent Street Fighter V situations very easily. What I mean by that is, if you look at the design of the game, right, you have priority and you have crush counter, right? So because of her limbs, her hurt boxes not being there, the likelihood of trade scenarios happening are very rare, okay? And then on top of that, because trade scenarios don't happen, she doesn't have to really worry about crush counter or priority. So she can basically avoid both of those situations if her spacing is on point. So she doesn't have to engage and put herself at risk, but she can still be an annoying fucking character and just pester you from like further away, okay? She has really good reach on those limbs, the limbs that we just talked about, so she can fight from further away, and the further away you are, the less risk there is in you attacking, generally speaking. Her recall orb allows her to create plus situations while she transitions forward, all right? So she can throw her orb out, and then we're sitting there neutral, and she just recalls it, and now she just engages, right? She just moves in, and now you have a 2 versus 1 scenario. I like to say this a lot. I got this from my mentor, Kaiser Master, where it's like, imagine you're at a school lunch, right? And a kid messes with you, and then you go to stand up to him, but then his friend comes up from behind you and grabs your arms. Now you have to worry about the kid behind you and the kid in front of you. So now you're fighting 2 people at once, right? You're getting jumped, basically. So that's what her orb recall does. She puts it out there, and now you have a character behind your character. And now you have to be very mindful of, all right, well, I could just sit here, but if I sit here, that allows her to move up, and then she can get close enough to me to where she touches me, and then she cancels it, right? She cancels it, her orb recall, and then now she's at plus frames, and I get pushed into her even further. But then the other thing is, if I try to move forward, she can recall it, and then if I try to go attack her, I get hit by the recall, and I'm like, ah! And then all of a sudden she's converting off of it. That sucks, okay? So it's a very, very strange, unique situation, but it helps contribute to the strengths of the character, right? Lastly, for her strengths, she has one of the best V-triggers in the game. V-trigger 1 is incredible. If you can master the optimization of it, you can just... You guys seen what Sako's done with that character, right? Like, it's just ridiculous. If you block, it is terrible to block that V-trigger. There aren't too many V-triggers in the game where it's bad to block the activation, all right? There are situations where it's like, you know, let's say Karen does stand roundhouse and she V-triggers. Like, yeah, if she does it in your face, it's like, okay, this sucks because I have to guess, right? But if she does it from far away, it's like, I'm not too scared because she's not in throw range, right? But Menat, no. You block and she activates V-trigger, you are like, what did I do to deserve this? Okay. So. Damn my pen. Where did my pen go? Pen, please forgive. Okay, there you go. All right. So. for her cons, so she has some similar cons to Bison, where she doesn't have an invincible attack outside of super. But like Bison, I mean, she has access to a 3-frame attack, okay? So that helps her on the defensive end. But she can get mauled. If you get in on her, like if you get in on Bison, they can get mauled, okay? And you're going to kind of see that happen between both characters, where they kind of like maul each other, and they'll take like the life lead back or whatever. But getting in on the character is, for the most part, every character's focus. All right, even if they're zoning, they're zoning to create some sort of knockdown that gives them enough advantage to close the gap, and then they start beating that ass. Okay. Lastly, for Menat, her last con, she struggles to convert into meaningful damage outside of V-Trigger, outside of Orb Recall, outside of using Bar, or from a jump in. All right, so she doesn't really get a lot of damage, even if you like mess up. All right, like if you DP and she blocks, then yeah, okay, she crush counters you, she gets damage. But like if you whiff a limb and she whiff punishes you, she's not really gonna get much off of it outside of those scenarios that I just listed. So there are some really awkward times where she gets a -3 punish, but she doesn't really get much off of it because maybe the stand light kick does hit, but the V skill cancel doesn't do enough. It doesn't have enough range, so it'll just hit later in the active frames, and then the opponent blocks it. Really weird stuff like that. Okay, so as we watch this, though, I want you guys to focus on two things. There's two very simple strategies going on in this set, okay? Number one, Problem X is going to walk back. Why is he walking back? What did I say Bison is? The very first thing I said about Bison today. What did I say? What did I say? Charge character. Boom. There you go. He's a charge character. Okay? So, because he's a charge character, he has to do one of three things. He has to move back, he has to stay stationary by down backing, or he has to hide his charge behind a move, right? Or behind movement. So either behind a button or jumping and charging, whatever, right? But he's a charge character. That shit is mad important, like Peach just said. So you're going to see him walking back a lot, right? And he'll get to a certain range where he just kind of crouches, and he'll start moving back when Justin starts moving forward. So he doesn't want to move too far back, because if he moves too far back, his faster scissor kicks, which are shorter than the heavy version, they won't reach. So he walks back to whiff punish the stand fierce from Menat, right? But if he moves too far back, he's gonna be forced to use heavy version. But heavy is too slow to react consistently with on a whiff punish. Okay, he can just kind of throw it out there because it is only -2. But then you don't want to be -2 in a character's face, right? Because then it's like, all right, now I have to guess. Granted, it's Menat. She doesn't get anything too crazy if she didn't have like V trigger or a bar or whatever. But you just don't want to put yourself in that situation, especially at the highest level of play. Okay, so he's gonna move back. What you're gonna see Justin do is he's gonna whiff a lot of jabs, right? He's gonna whiff a lot of jabs, at the beginning, because he's trying to figure out like, what are you doing? What are your intentions? And you're gonna see like for a couple moments, instances, situations, Problem will successfully scissor kick on him, whatever, right? But Justin will eventually switch it up, and you're gonna see how. Okay, so let's get into it. Let me rewind this back. Alrighty. Bloop. Thank you guys for tuning in, by the way. Osiris, but naked. Lion, Lion, I appreciate that compliment. Brian, what's up, man? I appreciate you guys. Everybody, you guys are awesome. I love all of you guys. If you guys haven't already, please follow me on here. Follow me on my Twitter account also, at Zaffarino1. And feel free to throw Twitch Primes my way. All right? I greatly appreciate those. That way you guys can participate in Sub Sunday. All right. Ooh, Peaches with the host. Peaches with the host. Do my Diddy shake. Do my Diddy shake. Thank you, brother, man. I appreciate it. All right. Cool. So, we're going to watch. All right. Let me rewind it. All right. So, let's check this out, fellas. fellas and ladies that are in here. So remember what we talked about. Bison's going to move back, and Menat is going to probably move forward, okay? But it's all about life lead in this set. Justin is a very defensive player, okay? So you're going to see Justin is just going to take the life lead, and then the whole matchup, just now he has complete control over it. Because why? Because Bison is a charge character. So Bison has to commit to a big move in order for him to land anything on Menat. All right, but if he moves forward, what's the risk of moving forward? He has to now deal with projectile limbs, right? So now it might potentially only add to the life lead that Justin has, which is really infuriating. But let's check this out. All right, let's boogie. So what happens? Crouching. Crouching, Justin moves back. Complete indication both players are looking. Looking, when you're looking, you're not acting, right? So therefore, you're defensive at the moment. All right? You see Problem X is moving back. All right. So you just seen there. Problem just try to whiff punish with the heavy version. All right? And yeah, Lion, I'm trying to go to final round with Sagat. Purely Sagat. Of course, that's my baby right there. All right, so you seen Problem try to whiff punish with the heavy scissor kick, right? And it was too slow. It was too slow. So that is what happens when you're too far away, right? You have to rely on using the heavier version, right? But then she blocks. So that's his whole game plan. He's just trying to chip away at her health with that. But then Justin overextends. So when top players make mistakes like this, they immediately tell themselves, they internalize the situation. And they're like, all right, I overextended. I overcommitted. Dial it back. Okay? Some players dial back immediately. Other players, they do it a couple times just to see. Like, it's all a matter of preference. Everybody's different. There's no right way to do it, okay? It's up to you. Like, you are who you are. You decide based off of your tastes, your preferences, your biases, what works for you. So let's see. Justin does the fierce whiffs. So let's see what happens. So that happens on block, right? But now he's in this range where stand fierce is a threat because you can't walk away from it, right? And Problem X doesn't want to block the stand fierce because the gray damage is going to just go boom, 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 boom. You don't want that to happen, right?
You feel like that's the only way you can pressure someone with Menat, but Justin just has this ability to just get under your skin.
See, so he's so willing to just get out of the range. And now, look, he used the appropriate scissor kick right there. Okay? So Bison's medium kick scissor kick is only -3, and it's far enough that if Menat were to block it and do the stand light kick, if she tries to V-skill, it wouldn't hit. It would whiff. It would totally whiff. Even if there is some chance that the stand light kick would hit, because her stand light kick doesn't really have much range, to be honest. But yeah. Okay, so let's see.
He makes people come to him, even if he has the life, if he's down in life.
Nice. So he's getting chipped. So it's okay. It's okay for Justin to block this. Like, he doesn't really care. He's like, all right, well, the -2 situation is going on, right? And you see that Problem X, whenever he's in it, he's just trying to... He doesn't really want to be in that stand fierce range, right? But if he backdashes and Justin does the jab, and if this happens over and over and over again, he's getting counter hit on jab, and damage is adding up, adding up, adding up. He doesn't mind taking it right here, because if you look at the health, Problem X has the life lead. Justin is down on health, okay? So it's okay for him here. He's like, I don't really give two shits. But he doesn't want to keep putting himself in that situation either, right? Because what if there's that one time that Justin does like a stand fierce and he catches him on his backdash? Now that damage adds up, okay? But now you see, look at this transition from Justin. Now he's walking up with him. See? Just walking up with him.
Every time Justin's whiffed it, it's been a scissor kick in response. Once it hit, but most of the time it just gets him in.
Yeah, there have been no strong hits yet, just a couple of instances.
But see, now he's moving backwards. So he's using the fierce, and he sees that after the fierce, sometimes Problem X will commit to like a scissor kick or something, right? Because he knows that Problem X knows that Justin knows, or she knows that I know, that he knows that you know. This is fucking mind games, right? But he knows that he can recognize, like, Justin sees I'm moving backwards, and Justin wants to move forward so he can be in stand fierce range, obviously, right? So what he tries to do is he tries to walk back and then just top rope, which I told you guys about, right? Where imagine a wrestler goes against a rope and then they just lunge forward. That's basically what's happening. So he'll just move backwards, and then he just launches forward, all right? So examples of top rope would be Balrog walking back, and he does dash punch. Urian walking back, he does EX chariot. Who else? What's another character? Cody walks back, he does EX zonk, okay? So those are very common scenarios of top rope style of play. So if you see somebody that's walking back, and then they just lunge forward with an attack, be very mindful of that, okay? Because in footsies, a common element is I walk back, you move forward, right? I walk back, you move forward. I walk forward, you move back. Because we're trying to keep a certain range. Whoever's winning wants to keep the range exactly like this, right? I want to keep it like this. But if I'm losing in this range, I don't want this range. I want to be either closer or further. So I'm going to try to move to take that away from you. And you're reacting to my movement. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh, you're moving back, I move forward. Oh, you're moving forward, I move back. Okay, cool. What's up, Brian? All right. So, but you see, now in this situation, now Justin is good. He can close the gap if he chooses to, right? Which you see, he's taking micro walks. He's walking and blocking, blocking. You know, maybe walks back a little bit, 2 steps back, but takes 3 steps forward, type of thing, right? Because you see, he's getting closer to him, right? You see, he's trying to see like, when are you going to commit? All right. Now, this is really smart on Problem X's part because he's using frame advantage against Justin. He knows 2 things. Justin is a very defensive player, and 2, that this is a plus situation. So he knows that in Justin's head, he doesn't want to press anything. Right? He's like, all right, well, I know that you're like, okay, you're Justin Wong, you're mad defensive, you're super lame, you'd probably lame out your child, like, if you had the chance. Like, you're just lame. You're gonna just be super defensive. You're gonna just time out at every opportunity that you can. So he's like, all right, so that means you're not gonna take a risk. I'm gonna do this extremely large 15 frame gap. Boom. Or whatever. It's like 16 or 17 frames, whatever. But he just does it. All right? So these are things you have to look out for. So like after this long period of nothing happening, he's like, all right, let me take this, use this as a chance to dwindle your health, right? He just wants to get the gray damage and then get the chip. Gray damage and chip. Gray damage and chip. Rinse, wash, repeat. Rinse, wash, repeat. Over and over and over and over and over again. Okay? But now you see, aha, things changed up. Because now the clock is draining, it's getting lower, and Justin has to get more aggressive. Because look at the life lead, it's substantial at this point. It's about 50 seconds left. Right? And he knows that, you know, the previous instance what happened was what? Walk back, right? So he knows Justin's like, all right, well, you're going to walk back, I'm gonna walk forward. Welp. That's why he commits to this. See, he doesn't get much off of it, but he's willing to do it.
Now Justin needs to find a way to get some damage right here. 40 seconds left, and you know, with the way that they've been playing, that's actually
now this is the key issue why Problem X loses this round. I want you guys to watch this right there. Do you guys recognize what just happened? I'm gonna play it for you guys again. I want you guys to use your brains, okay, and your eyes, and maybe your nose. I don't know. Some people they get power from that. I'm one of them. But just rewatch this, and I want you to tell me why this was a terrible decision on Problem X's part. Alright, we're gonna rewatch this again. Why was this crush counter bad? Let's rewatch it again. He did use light scissor kick. I think he used light or he used medium. He used one of them. That wasn't heavy. So why was this bad? Can somebody tell me? No, he's not minus. He's not actually minus. Menat was minus. But the issue is, I want you guys to look at the meter very close. Look at this big ass red bar. Hold up. Let me levitate with my Zaf powers. Okay, look at this. Look at this. Look at it. This fucking thing. This glowing red bar that fucks you up. If you ignore it, you're gonna die. That thing, don't die because of it, god damn it. Look at it. Love it. Embrace it. Ah! Right? That thing, you ignore it, you're fucking dead. This glows red. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Okay, so this is the issue. I'm going to replay this again, okay? Watch this one more time. Where was it? Oh! You weren't glowing red. You weren't glowing red yet. Hold up. Holy shit. Wait a minute. Oh! Hold up. You see this? This is the key, right? You have a key. You have a fucking key, right? And you have this key, and this key unlocks the door of I'ma fuck you up. Okay? So this door of I'ma fuck you up. You just gave him the key. You said, here, Justin, take this, and fuck me up. Thank you. That's what happened. Okay? That's exactly what happened. So why did that happen? Okay, so let's just watch. Just pretend you don't know why this is a bad situation. Look at this. Uh-oh, spaghetti-o. Whew. And look what happened to the health. Damn. Damn. Oh, man.
Trigger remains, and I think there's time. No, maybe not now. The way Justin plays, absolute safety first stuff. 8 seconds, big red numbers up there.
Yeah, now Justin can just block. He can just literally block. Yeah, he's gonna say, plant your bomb. I don't care.
Yes.
So be mindful, guys. Don't be like Problem X in that situation. Alright, so let's watch this. So more defensive play. There's not there's not really too many opening mind games that happen because they're both playing super defensive and they want the life lead. Obviously, Problem X would rather get in, but he's not willing to, like, he's not trying to do anything too crazy, you know? So, but okay, so just to pause it really quick. So, remember, every character, right, gets V meter off of crush counter, but we forget that. A lot of people forget that. Or not that they forget that, but they don't calculate that in their risk. So what gives your opponent V meter? Okay? Damage, gray health, and them crush countering you to the next dimension. Okay? On some Yu-Gi-Oh shit. Be mindful of that. Don't die. Okay? Alright. So look at this. 24 seconds have passed, and Problem X hasn't even taken throw damage yet. Very, very defensive. See? But look at that. So you still have to be really on point with your scissor kick, because you see he whiffs it. But he was waiting. Excuse me. The issue here was that he waited to whiff punish. Like, he was kind of waiting for the book, the orb, to go back. But you're supposed to do it, like, on the whiff. Like, as soon as it whiffs. You know, it's not active for long out. Like, it is pretty active out there, but by the time you do the forward, you know, you'd basically be whiff punishing it.
I think it makes sense for Problem to play this slow game as well. That's fine. I mean, again, most of the last round time.
All right, see, so he's using these situations like the stand roundhouse into the axe. So when he's getting in, he's trying to make it count. Okay, he's not really. He doesn't really care about the damage. He cares more so about the gray damage. That's what he's thinking about mostly with his offense here, because he knows that the game is going to go back to neutral at some point, and he just wants to make sure when it does, he has the life lead. So it's important to be aware of your opponent's focus. Like, what is their focus? What are they trying to accomplish? How are they willing to win? Because then that will narrow down their offense and make things a lot more predictable, you know, and you'd be able to just see their intentions on this screen a little bit easier. See? Okay, so that doesn't surprise me. You know, that walk-up like we talked about. Especially when you have bar, you have to be mindful of that. Because he doesn't lose out on much when he does this. Right? He's getting back his gray damage. So if I'm Justin and he has bar, I would walk up and neutral jump. But Justin never does that once. He does not walk up and neutral jump. And again, remember, Menat, she can get damage off of jumping. So if she jumps and she predicts this based off of his meter, she sees that he walks back. Okay? And then she's like, oh, he has bar. He's probably going to EX. He got a neutral jump. Walk up a little bit just to sell him the idea that you're gonna walk with him, like, because you kept doing it for the whole set. But then all of a sudden you just neutral jump. Of course, it's a timing thing. You have to be aware of how long does it take for your opponent to confirm something on the screen. And then once you see that, you can use that against them. And then you do it just before the window. So if this is the window, right? This is the window. Them seeing it is this. Or let me flip my hands. Them seeing it is this. And this is when they perform it. you'd want to do the walk forward until this point, right? Right before they commit to it, because then they're like, oh, all right, I know he's walking forward. Let me do the EX. And then you jump, and then die. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and then just get in the way. No big deal. He builds a little bit of meter. If he blocks like that, that's fine.
The scary thing right now is Justin with a lot of meter, and I almost feel like that was an
Nice.
execution error from Justin.
See, so that's very important also is you see Problem X was moving backwards primarily. That was his main movement. So all of a sudden for him to walk forward like this is super suspect because one, he's a charged character, and two, he was playing very defensive the entire match, right? So why all of a sudden is he walking up? Oh, because a big move. This slick bastard. You know what? I understand you, you scumbag. You're trying to get some damage right now. Good of Justin to punish it, though.
I almost feel like that was an execution error from Justin right there, but maybe that's
Oh,
what
to
he
not have
wanted.
done super?
Yeah, because I mean, that's the thing is Menat's game, but one of the reasons why
Okay.
she's so powerful is because she doesn't need any meter for EXs to get in or anything like that. She can just use her meter.
All right.
So if you spend it, it's not like you're taking away your
Yeah, it's something to be mindful of. Again, the V trigger. You know that he has this lunging attack that he can just do from any range, V trigger it, and then he's plus in your face, right? The fact that he's down on health, it's showing you that he wants it, like he needs to do something. All right, 37 seconds left. Once the clock hits around like 40 seconds, players start to get really antsy. All right. But sometimes players get more antsy as soon as it hits 40 versus other players. So some players, they wait till it's like 20 seconds. Other players, maybe 30. Everybody's different. But everybody, there's a trigger in everybody's head, okay?
super. So if you spend it, it's not like you're taking away your
But you see, he waited for the walk forward like he did with the scissor kick, right?
spend it, it's not
And then he did it. But so you guys see what I'm saying? So you can use these things against him. You could all of a sudden just walk forward and then just neutral jump. Or back jump, depending on, you know, if he doesn't have V-trigger, I would have neutral jumped. If he has V-trigger, I would jump back so he slides into me. Because slide, I think, goes a little bit further out. So if you neutral jump, you'd actually whiff, which is annoying as hell, but yeah.
like you're taking away.
So are you guys seeing this as it's happening? Is this making sense?
Grab, gotta watch the
bomb is
explosion,
set
yes.
up.
It can come at any time. There it is.
Just to keep himself
Advantage.
plus.
He's right back in.
All right. Oh no, the back throw.
Justin has trigger. He's real dangerous right now.
Oh, we got jabbed out of the air with that. I mean, that's a lot.
Oh,
of
man.
Oh no, the back throw.
See that's not even worth it, like, because like pressuring in that situation is not worth it in my opinion. He could have just sat there like a wall. Because he has to guess. Look at how many different things he has to guess. He has to guess quick rise, back roll, or super. Like, that's a lot of elements you have to think about, right? Like, you have the life lead. You know Menat is going to, like, struggle bust her way in. If you can just keep her there, right? Like, how else is he gonna... If he stays outside of that sweep range, like, how else is she gonna activate? Like, stand fierce, yeah, but you're so far away, like, she's not really going to be able to do anything crazy. If she jumps at you and tries to dive kick, you can just jump back, jab.
Oh no, the back throw.
Justin has trigger. He's real dangerous.
But now all this happens.
Oh, we got jabbed out of the air with that. I mean, that's a lot of invincibility
Okay.
on that EX head stop. And he's gonna
Can
be
he
able to
take this?
super.
Yeah,
This is one of
Angry Scar. I feel powered up. Yo, get your armpit out my face, man. Shit. Thank you, I appreciate the follow, man.
play against a style like this because you have to.
Alright, so let's see. Uh-oh, aggressive.
Mental strength.
And why is this? Well, it could be because he's down a match. Okay, so typically when somebody's down a match, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5 format, they're going to want to establish that momentum as fast as possible.
So patient. It's such a test of your mental style.
So rewind it again. Notice he does it after the stand fierce whiff, right? Because generally when that fierce would whiff, Justin would kind of like back off. He's like, okay, I overextended. And this is the perfect opportunity to dash up. And he gets hit.
It's such a test of your mental strength to fight against someone playing like this.
Yeah.
And it's great. I love it that Justin
Gets a little bit of chip off of the stomp. Again, he's moving back.
So well practiced. And again,
See, now he's commit. Now he's okay. He's like, I have a life lead. I don't really have to overextend.
player who's happy to do that too. We saw that in SF4. Even with a character like Seth.
So he's only moving forward once Justin gets into the stand fierce range. Other than that, he doesn't give two shits. He's like, I'm totally fine with just sitting here until you convince me you're in this range, and once you enter it, then I'll start doing something about it.
He's familiar with it. He's been doing it as well.
Yeah, the tricky thing now is twice.
See, he does not want to block that. He doesn't want to block that.
He's gone for the mix-up eventually. He hasn't gone for the throw yet, and Problem X has followed for that both times.
Nice.
let's
So now what Problem does is, whenever he enters a range like that, aggressively, he goes into axe. So if he has charge, right, he's not gonna go into axe because that just does not make sense. Like, he's gonna go from down back to down forward into no. Like, he'd rather just scissor kick and try to clip you walking forward, right? Because he's in a defensive mindset. But when he's trying to move forward, he doesn't have charge. But what's the next best way to start your offense? It's going to be that Psycho Axe like we talked about, because he can just go straight into it, into pressure. So sometimes you'll see him enter that range, like, offensively, and then he'll just commit to the Psycho because he's certain that Justin is too mentally wrapped up in the walk forward, walk back game.
Okay. Justin about halfway to getting that trigger.
Nice. You see? So you see how Justin contested there. Justin's a really defensive player, right? So, but he understood, like, hey, you know, you're starting to take advantage of my defensiveness. So that's why he just committed to the stand strong right there. And now that'll work out in Justin's favor down the road, because if you've shown Problem X that, hey, I'm going to start pressing buttons here, now Problem X will start stringing into, like, you know, light attacks. So he'll probably do, like, stand light kick into blast. But that's fine for Justin, because Justin will get pushed back and he's not in throw range, and it's just a okay situation for him. He doesn't really care about the chip in that regard, as opposed to the axe into axe into axe. Like, that's gray damage adding up really fast, and then he's putting himself back into throw range, which is really scary.
And that's why the way Justin plays is so crucial, because he gets a lot of crush counters on those fierces, so he builds up a lot of free V gauge.
Nice.
Crucial because he gets a lot of crush counters on those.
So now he used the -2 situation against Justin.
A lot of free V gauge as well.
Okay, Problem X has noticed that Justin's not really pressing buttons in this situation right here. Continues not to be. And finally, when he did, Problem had to
Nice.
Faces him down. Look at this life.
I'm surprised he didn't do scissor kick there.
Okay. Now at this point in time, I don't know if Justin could do it. Oh, actually,
yeah, is the short by continuing to play slow.
All right.
And Problem X got there not by going crazy, by continuing to play slowly, but kind of more of an offensive slow game, whereas Justin's the defensive slow game. Right. And that was good. Problem X did it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the tough things is that most of the time Problem X has gotten in is through
Nice.
block. That's negative, of course. So he's had to respect Justin's buttons. And Justin is
Light scissor. See, that's the same thing we talked about earlier, guys. You see how you try to do the faster scissor kick and it whiffed completely? See? Completely whiffed.
Justin has been consistent with just making sure he hits that button, so Problem X always wants to block in that situation. Justin just wants to keep him out as much as possible.
Exactly, yeah.
Bison having a life lead, and we said Problem X, when he has that life lead, he's okay with just sitting there.
And Justin walking a little bit closer. He doesn't want to have that fierce whiff, because we have seen scissor kicks as
Now you see, what's interesting is, after that first stand fierce, Justin does the jab, right? Why did he do the jab? Because he thought that potentially Psycho X was coming like the previous situation. But then you see, when the situation happens again right here, because of what happened the last situation, he knows Problem X is a Evo champion, so he's a high quality player. The man is going to be aware of these things. He just dials it back and he walks back.
And again, you know, I don't feel like Problem X needs.
So you can actually use that against Justin. You can use that rhythm against him, where he's so smart that he adapts so fast that his pattern will be like this: A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B.
Needs to be jumping like that.
Oh,
You
this,
know?
yeah, he's lost some life here.
Alright, so you got some good damage, but Bar had to be involved. Nice.
It's so strange he was doing so well just last.
Now you see, this is one of those situations where Menat is just so strong, because look at this, especially on hit, her frame advantage is going to make her next fierce even faster. So now he gets this crush counter. Alright.
It's so strange he was doing so well just last round. He
Now Justin doesn't have to do anything.
was great. Patient anyway, and now he needs a lot of work.
I mean, you really need to have that mindset that if Menat is not throwing
Oh
forward,
no!
here we go. Oh, I thought that was going to be a V-trigger activation.
too.
Here we go. Okay.
Alright.
Activation.
He
Miss.
jumps out.
Jump back.
And he's not dead. Yeah, because he drops the combo. Good old Justin.
Wanted to save
One
that
more orb,
meter.
barely.
Oh,
That's a punish. That's always -3 no matter what.
if he's not throwing forward, not taking
So back to the same opening. Both defensive, trying to feel out. Somebody wants to get the life lead. Uh-oh, Justin bites. Whiffs the fierce, but Bison doesn't have charge, so it's okay. Oh, interesting. Bison uses the bar. But nothing much happens. Justin's like, okay, that's fine. I'm willing to get that difference in life back through chip. Or grade damage, whichever one works. Nice, good backdash. That was really good. Especially because it was at max range. So if you block it at max range and you have a good enough backdash, you can avoid the second one. There's not really much you can do. He'd have to commit to like a sweep. And that's not likely. Nice. So when Problem X is getting hit with that fierce, he starts overextending. Because remember, he got hit with the first fierce from the round before. He got hit and he tried to sweep into V-trigger, right? Boom, look. And he tried to dash up. So that range that he's doing it at, if he does space it correctly, it makes it harder to punish. So that's also why he is doing it. But if it crush counters, right, because look at that. If you look, let me move out of the way. What did we learn from the Menat lesson? Watch this shit, right? So you could use this against Problem X. You can use these things against your opponent. Because if I play a Karen and she's a crush counter away from getting that thing, this disgusting fabric behind me, I'm going to be very mindful of stand heavy kick. And I'm going to probably try to counter it. If I'm playing a Cammy, alright, and she has a V-trigger, I'm probably going to be in anti-crouching heavy punch mode. So every character is different. Playing Bison, I would be mindful of sweep. So then maybe you want to start doing anti-sweep things. Maybe do low crushes, maybe neutral jump more, maybe, you know, like, maybe escaping the range, baiting it, something. I don't know. But you just got to be mindful of this. It's very important. Because he is a hit away. And that's why he does it. But now he has the crush counter. Alright, so right now it looks like Justin has the life lead. Yeah, I think Justin does have the life lead. And that's, I think they're both like kind of like, it's ambiguous maybe to both of them, but they're just willing to wait it out. This is a very interesting defensive match. Nice. That was a great punish. I think Justin wasn't aware of that as an option. Uh-oh. You see it now, look. He covers that option. Brilliant. That was really brilliant because there's no way right now Problem X would think to do Devil Reverse. He would not, you know, he's going to go for Stomp because he wants the damage, right? So it's okay for him to do the jump back heavy kick right here. Great presence of mind. You know that all of the damage he wants to get is going to be off of a jump in based off of how he's moving. So jump back jab. Just jump back and jab him. And he just lammed him out. Alright, so let's go back into it. So let's see, how does he open up? Sphinx, what's up, man? Thank you for tuning in. So look at that, 10 seconds past, nothing really dramatic has happened. Grade damage, yeah, it's happened. But remember, grade damage, it can come back if you don't get hit, right? Okay, so that orb recall. So that's how you can counter the orb recall, is if you can hit her before it gets to you, right? That's why I didn't hit him. There was no hitbox anymore, because it just kind of dissipates until it gets back to her. So if you play like a